Hello, our most valued student. My name is Confident. Welcome to our revision session, and I'm bringing you Mathematics N2. And actually, this is the final exam that was written in January. It was supposed to be written in November, but because of the pandemic, it was postponed and written on the 1st of February. Actually, that's why it says final exam 2022. So this lesson is actually a review of the final paper that was written on the 1st of Feb in 2022. So I'm just going to give you kind of a sneak peek of what was expected of you in this paper if you wrote the paper, and if you are preparing for your final exams, which will be coming either in July or November of 2022 and going further. This video will kind of give you an idea of what to prepare. So I hope this video will be beneficial to you. I'm going to bring a full video of this memorandum, of the question, but it will be available first time for the premium members. So I will encourage you, if you want to get hold of the actual final video, you can become a member. And premium members help in the sense that they sponsor this channel. They make it also possible to bring as much videos as possible in different levels. So thank you for you guys who are premium members. I will encourage, if you are not a premium member and you want to benefit from every video that is posted in this channel, to do so. There are lots of videos that premium members are benefiting, which if you are just an ordinary member, you are not able to access. But thank you guys. Don't forget to leave your comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to share the channel with your friends and colleagues. We greatly appreciate you. It shows that there are people behind who are benefiting from these channels. As I said, this question paper is the last paper that was written. It was supposed to be for November, but in fact, it was postponed, and this was now written in February. As you can see, this is Mathematics N2. It was written on the 1st of Feb in the morning. X means morning. Is a 3-hour paper, and in this paper I said you will find 2 questions which will need a graph paper. You can use your scientific calculators, and there are 6 pages and 2 formula sheets in this paper. So let us quickly go through this question paper and a few instructions here. As you can see, it's a 3-hour paper. The mark allocation of this question paper is out of 100 marks, so don't forget that. Instructions, they are always very important for you guys to go through. Don't just start the question without reading the instructions. And according to the most important instruction is number 3, to say you need to answer according to the numbering system used in this question paper. Don't come up with your own numbering, and then start each question on a new page. So even if there is space left from the previous question, you need to start each question on a new page. And then only blue and black ink. Avoid using markers or highlighters and all that stuff. You don't need to kind of beautify your work. Just use black or blue pen, and then you need to be neat with your work and legible and clear and easy to read. So alright guys, this was now the paper. If I can just go through all the questions, and after going through all the questions, I will attempt a few of these questions just to get a feel of how you would have answered this question. So question number 1 to start with. In question 1, you were given a log question, and the first part they were asking you to express this in exponential form is basic. That's why they gave it 1 mark, and then they wanted you to solve for x, making it 4 marks in total. Again, question 1.2, as you can see, it's a continuation of logs, as you are given these logs, and now you are asked to express in 1.2.1 and 1.2.2. you are asked to express log 60 and log 3. They say without the use of a calculator. That's why it's very important. So I'm going to actually solve this for you to say, how do you use such to solve this question. It's not a complicated question, but it's a way of getting yourself good marks there. And then 1.3, it says simplify the following without a calculator. Again, you must not use a calculator. In this case, they gave you exponents, so you're using the laws of exponents. It's not much, it's 2 marks. And then the second one, the logarithms. Actually, I think there was a lot of questions now that I'm picking up with logs. Look from 1.1. 1.1 actually is exponents and logs. So 1.1 was mainly on exponents, but question 1.2, the 5 marks was on logs, and now the 4 marks is on logs again. That is 9 marks, as well as on exponents. You have got the 2 marks here on 1.3.1 and the 4 marks on 1.1.1 and 1.1.2. So it's like 6 marks on exponents and 9 marks of logs. So if you are preparing for your exam, for you to be able to do well in your maths, you need to then know your exponents as well as your logarithms. So this topic is very important. As you can see, out of it you get 15 marks on these exponents and logs. So I'll encourage you to ensure that you kind of master this section. But again, guys, I have got a curriculum of this mathematics N2, either in video form or in the textbook. There is a textbook already that you can find on Takealot, which deals specifically with mathematics N2, so you can actually get advantage of that. So it will actually, with that textbook, it comes with videos, so I think it's a good deal if you want to master this topic of mathematics N2. Alright, guys, and then let's move on to question number 2. Now in question number 2, what I have here, it says simplify the following algebraic fractions. So this is fractions algebra now, and look at the mark allocation of these. 2.1.1, it's 5 marks. 2.1.2, it's 5 marks. And guys, there is nothing complicated here in all these 2 questions. Now if you master it well, this 10 marks is up for grabs, because it only relies on factorization. So it's algebra, but if you can master factorization, you're good to go. You will get all these marks. And usually I talk of the product sum method of factorization, and then also here you will see difference of 2 squares that you need to know. Difference of 2 squares, so basically that is the difference of 2 squares, product sum method, and the basic factorization. If you can master that, you guys are good to go. And I will encourage you therefore to know these 2 topics, which is factorization in terms of the product sum as well as the difference of 2 squares. So that is that, guys. And look at 2. Just to further this 2.2, given the following algebraic expressions. So there is the next question. So they give you that part to say in here. You are given that and that and that. Now look at this 2.2.1 again. Factorize each expression completely. We're back again to factorization, and in this case, look at the mark allocation now. Here the mark allocation is 7 marks, and again, guys, which add up to 17 marks just on factorization. And if you look at the question, the types of factorization that is involved, it's actually the second part, which is factorization here by grouping. So I will encourage you guys, is grouping. Again, there is difference of 2 squares involved in here, especially this question, the way I see it. So I will encourage you guys to definitely do your part or your homework as part of factorization, and you're good to go. Then later, it's actually a question that wants you to explain what is, or they want to determine the LCM. This is not difficult now because it's based on your factorization. You know the LCM as well. Actually only the LCM. Sometimes they usually ask you to find the HCF, which is the highest common factor, but this time they just wanted you to find the LCM. And look at the mark allocation. This is 20 marks. You take 20 of question number 2 and you take 15 of question number 1. You are already 35% in this paper, so it is a good kind of questions for you to actually take advantage of. Now looking at question 3 in here, question 3.1 is actually kind of a word problem here, because it deals with analyzing a given word problem, but this time is more like it says 2 motorists took off from the same point and moved in opposite directions such that after a certain period of time they were 127 kilometers apart. However, if they took off from the same point and move in the same direction, then after the same period of time the motorist will be 17 kilometers behind each other. Calculate the distance covered by each motorist. It's an interesting question and very unique. I haven't seen such a question when it comes to word problems. They usually simplify them, but this time they kind of gave something nice and interesting. I will cover this actually in the full video, the solution of this question, so just watch out for it. But I think I like this question. It was a bit coming from a different angle than they are used to ask in previous papers. Now 3.2, solve the following equations. These the first one is standard basic equation, algebra again. The second one says using the factorization method. You are supposed to solve. This is 3 marks. So again here you can see it's to the power 2. This is the product sum that they're talking about here, where you can factorize using the product sum method. So they don't want you to use, you see, they specifically said using the factorization method. So here do not use the quadratic formula. So if you use the quadratic formula here, they will penalize you marks, so don't use that. Now the next question, still on algebra guys. This continues from question 2. Given the formula that you are supposed to make Z the subject here, again 4 marks. I don't know why they gave it so much good marks, but it's also few steps that are basic here which you can master. And then says determine the value. This follows actually from the last question to say if you can get this one right, you will then be able to find the value there. That's why it's just 1 mark, but in total this section was covering 14 marks, but it's still part of algebra, as I said. Let's move on to question 4. Question 4.1, they are being relevant here. The CAF, I think it's a this is for football fans. CAF, I think it's, forgot the meaning of CAF, but F for football, I think. Confederation African what, something like that. CAF recommends that the soccer ball to be used for the upcoming tournament must have a surface area of that. You see, these are practical questions that they're bringing in. That is more like you are using a practical situation, but using mathematics to solve that. So they're giving you something real, but at the same time using mathematics to show that mathematics is a subject that is universal. Now it says calculate the following: the radius of the ball, so, and the volume of the ball. Now with these 2 questions you need to rely on your formulas. So if we go to the formulas here, remember they're talking about, the question was the surface area. They gave you the surface area of the ball. Now they want the radius and the volume. So you look at this part of what is a ball. A ball is like a sphere. So if you come here, they want you to be able to interpret well these formulas. So you can see there is a right cone, a cylinder, there is a sphere, which is a ball. So the volume there is the formula, and they gave you the area, which was that surface area. There is the formula. So you use these. They won't say soccer ball. They say they gave you soccer ball, but it's your duty to know that that links back to the sphere. And then they're saying the costing part 4.1.3, it will cost CAF 50 cents to fill 1 cubic centimeter into the ball, or 1 centimeter cubed into the ball. How much will it cost to inflate the ball to its maximum capacity? So that is up to you now to be able to convert this volume. Remember, it's linked to question 4.1.2 to say what is the volume, but they're saying here it's 50 cents per volume. So you multiply 50 cents by the answer you get there, it will give you the answer. And then that was not much of a complication, just the formulas there that is important. So you need to know the surface area, the volume of a sphere. 4.2.1 now. Look at 4.2. I just want to dwell a little bit there. These are now graphs, functions. You need to know functions, whereby you are given this graph, and from this graph, the common question they will always ask, there is the y-intercept. Sometimes they ask you even the x-intercept. The roots of the function. You are solving this equation again using the product sum or the quadratic formula. Now it's allowed, because at that point the word roots means when y is equal to 0. The axis of symmetry of the function. Now axis of symmetry, x is equal to minus b over 2a is the axis of symmetry, but you can check these in your formulas. I think here, if I check on the next formula, I think it's there. Let me just check this there, the axis of symmetry, just for you to see. So you see that they give you this axis of symmetry, so you need to be able to do that. Roots, you see they used the quadratic formula, but as I said, you can use also the product sum method. And then the next part says the y-coordinate of the turning point of the function. Now the y-coordinate is linked to the axis of symmetry. So these two questions, when the value that you get for x, you are going to put it back, that value for x, where there is x, it will give you the y, and that y value becomes the x-axis. And then the question continues on the graph. Question number 4.2, it was 4.2, and then it says use the graph paper. You see, that's where now you plot. You need to know how to sketch these graphs. You plot the graph, then it says indicate all the axes, the turning points, as well as the line of symmetry. This question is always most important to say while you are sketching your graph, and ensure that you are answering everything that this question is saying. So you need to answer about the axis, the turning points, and the line of symmetry. So when you do that, then you get your 5 marks, provided you draw actually a correct graph. 4.3 is not done. Again, draw the graph of this on the same axis for question 4.2.5. So you see that they want you to also add this graph, and then usually they look at the point of intersection. To say 4.4, there is a reason why they're asking, says read from the graph in question 4.2.5 and question 4.3 above the coordinates of the point of intersection. You see, so they want you to check where are these graphs crossing each other. Now you read from that and you will get the answers. Question 5, it says convert into radians, degrees and minutes into radians. There is also a lesson on conversions here that you can convert that. It's not complicated, you just need to know what you're doing. A calculator can work for you this. And then a pizza store produces a circular pizza with an area of that for 8 friends at lunch. If it is cut into 8 equal pieces, that is sectors, calculate the following. So actually here you are looking at this, that's why they say it a sector. So you are looking at that shape, and this is a sector, the area of each slice. Whenever they talk about areas, guys, always rely on your formula. So if you look at this, Let me go to here. See, there is sector, and the conversions decrease to radians. We're talking about that. But sector, they give you the angle of the sector and the area A, which is 1/2 r squared theta. So you just have to rely on that. Once you know the radius and the area, you can, the radius and other parts, you can find the question. But here actually didn't need that because already they've given you the area. That's why it's 1 mark. For each slice, for 8 slices, you just divide 8 into that, so it was not complicated. The angle each sector subtends, that's where now they want you to find the angle because they give you the radius there. 5.3, a wheel with a diameter of that has a peripheral velocity of that. So now you are looking at the peripheral velocity. Calculate the following. The peripheral velocity in meters per second, meaning convert 72 kilometers per hour in meters per second. The angular velocity in radians. Again, your formulas, guys, is what will come handy. And in this case, if you look, let me just check with the formulas. Part here, I think it's previous. There we go. It's all based on you being able to know your formulas, and in this case, just check here the angular velocity, the circumferential velocity, see that, and where n is rotational frequency. I think that in revolutions per second. So the circumferential velocity is your peripheral velocity in this case. So you need to do that. So once you understand these formulas, it becomes easier for you to follow there. And then says determine 5.4. Here says determine the chord length of a circle when the segment height is that and the radius of the circle is that. You see, write the final answer to 3 decimal places. This is 4 marks, and when they're talking about the chord length, they are talking about let me look at this formula here. You have to come back, I think, the chord length, there we go, segment of circles. So you are using this information, and the formula here is d is h plus x squared over 4h, where there is the x is the chord length, the height, as well as the diameter of the circle. That is what you are using. So you see that this question 5 was mainly dependent on you understanding the formulas. The length of the ordinates in millimeters of an irregular sheet of metal is given as that, and then if the ordinates they're giving you that, then they say here you are looking at the mid ordinate rule. That's why it says use the mid ordinate rule to calculate the what, the area. Again, formulas, guys, there is the mid ordinate rule. So it's heavily on formulas, so I will encourage you, once you master these formulas, this question, especially questions 5 like this, become easier. 15 marks, you can actually get everything there. You just need to understand those formulas. As I said, I show you this in the videos for the curriculum that I have for the whole mathematics N2, so that you can be able to follow up. Question 6, you're given the function. This is trig now, and in trigonometry, look at this, draw the graph. So again, second part on the sketching, and then read from that value, understanding of graphs, and then calculate the value of that. Now they didn't specify here, you can simply use a calculator, but knowing what is sec, remember, is 1 over cos, so you just need to know that. And then after that one, you need to understand your trig ratios here. This is your SOHCAHTOA here, SOHCAHTOA. Remember, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tan is opposite over adjacent. Once you master that, you'll be able to calculate the following here. When they give you a right, let me see if ever, yes, B is a right angle triangle, because they're saying it's 90 degrees. So the value of BC, the value of AC, the value of 1 plus 10 squared, all that is based on that. And then they given that cos this is that, calculate the value of tan theta. So this is based on understanding that, oh, this is now out of 100, and that was the end of this paper, because this is 15 marks. Guys, I don't know, but I think it was a standard paper. A few questions were tricky in and out, but passing, definitely yes. Getting good marks, say distinction, very, very possible. It's 80% to 90% possible if you did your homework well. Getting between 60 and 100 is actually a majority of you could have been getting those kind of marks, because here the examiner, I would say they were not really, what can I say? I would say they were not really bringing some new ideas or new ways of answering this question. They were standard. If you have revised your previous papers, if you have seen the previous videos that I've been doing and you follow up, this question paper was not supposed to be a problem at all. So yeah, that is that. Now, without much wasting of time, let me just try to give you a few of these answers here as we're looking to say, let's say you're answering this question, how were you going to be able to answer some of these questions? And the first one here is question 1. Says you are given this log, and I'm saying to you, what were you supposed to do here? Look at this. If they had said log square root of x, log in base square root of x of 27 is equal to 3, and then they're saying write this equation in exponential form. You see this? So what you do, this x becomes the base there in exponent. So you are saying 27 is equal to square root of x to the power 3. That's what they're saying. Where am I getting it? If you are given something like this, log in base a of b is equal to m. If you're given that, so how do you express this in exponent form? You are saying b is equal to a to the power of m. See that? Or you can say a to the power of m is equal to b. Whatever case, it will still be the answer. So here you can see that my a is the square root. So my a is that square root. Are you saying that? So I hope this is making some sense to you. But that is how you express that part in what they mean when they say in exponent form. Then after that, of course, they are saying you need to solve for x. It was not difficult. You needed to know that 27 is 3 to the power of 3 is equal to x square root of x to the power of what? Of 3. Now you use that what I can say a law in exponential equations, which say if you're given a to the power of m is equal to b to the power of m if the exponents are the same. You see, m. Therefore, a is also equal to b. That's what you're saying here. Exponents are the same. Therefore, 3 is equal to root x. Are you seeing what's happening there? But they said solve for x. So 3 is equal to root x. That's not the final answer, but at least you're closer. Then you needed to know how to get rid of the square root. Remember, the square root, you square both sides. Remember that. You square both sides. So now 3 squared is 9 is equal to now x. So x is equal to 9. You can test it where there is always good to test these questions. Where there is square root of x here, put a 9. Use a calculator then to check if that will give you a 3. So what you say is square root of 9 and of 27 there, base 9 of 27. You see, it simply gives you a 3. So you can quickly test that. Not much complicated. It just wanted you to kind of give yourself more time working on this. Just being careful is all that I say. Now here they gave you this log, they gave you that log, they gave you that log, and then they're saying, listen now, this is only also one question they really asked, but they brought it this time. It says determine the following without the use of a calculator. So you don't have to use a calculator, but they're saying show all the workings, they say, without using calculator, but you can test it. Now just take a calculator first thing and see if ever you can kind of find the answers and then work towards that. Log 6, 60. When they just say log, you also use log. The base there is 10. It's 1,778. So if I can write here to say your answer is supposed to be 1,778 4.778, somewhere around these lines. And then what about log in base 2 of 3? You use that, log 2 of 3. Your answer is supposed to be 1,585. 1,585. So this is somewhere where your answer is supposed to be. But now use the information above given. So log 60, you see, look at the mark allocation again. For this one is more marks, but now express it like this. Log 60. Remember, they say don't use a calculator and they limited you to this information. So whatever you're going to use has to be limited to log 10, log 2, and log 3. But how do I find 60? 60 is same as saying log 2 times 3 times 10. Isn't this 60? What is 2 times 3? It's 6. 6 times 10, it's 60. You see? Why did I use 2 times 3 times 10? Because they limited me to log 2, log 3, and log 10. Now, using the laws of logarithms, I'm not going to take much time here. You know, when I'm multiplying, I add. When there's a multiplication with add. Quickly to say, if I'm given log A times B, this is equal to log A plus log B. These are laws of logarithms, okay? So I'm not going to dwell much there, but grab hold of my lessons. You'll be able to get a full understanding of this. So here you get your log 2 plus your log 3 plus your log 10. See where I'm getting it? So what is your log 2? They gave you log 2 to say it's 0,301. Am I right? So I've got 0,301 plus, and then log 3, which is 0,477 plus, and then my log 10, which is 1. Come on guys, at this stage I know you're like, but they say don't use a calculator. You can use a calculator because you have actually shown that you know what you're doing, and you adding these, there is no proof that I actually used a calculator to add them together. So any person can add that aside. So you can add that 0,301 plus 0,477 plus 1 equal to press ST there, 1,778. Look at the matching of the answer, 1,778, which is the same thing, guys, that you got that side. So you see that you can actually prove some of these without much difficulty, but it's your way of expressing this. Now next one is here, log in base 2 of 3, or log 3 in base 2. Again, you need to know some logarithm laws or rules in this case. Now, how do you simplify that? Look at this. There is a rule in logs which says if you're given log in base A of B is equal to, remember I'm limited to what I'm expressing. They gave me log 10, log 3, and log 2. So already there is 2 and 3. But if I'm given this kind of scenario here to say log A and log B, and I want to change it to base 10, like what I'm given there, it will be log, the B is on top, as you can see. So it's log B over log A. That is that. That's how you express it. If you want to express it, let's say you want to convert it, that's how you change a base. If you want to convert it maybe to a new base, you will have base M there and base M there, whatever base you want to put. But the key thing is the B goes to the top and the A goes to the bottom, meaning if you are given the same thing here, you are going to say log 3 is on top over log 2. Do you see that? That's why I say it wasn't complicated. Now log 3 is 0,477 over log 2 is 0,301. You see, but now they were a bit tricky yet because they say without the use of a calculator. Now you're asking myself, but now how do I solve this without using a calculator? It's not difficult. You can multiply the top by 100 and the bottom by 100 just to show you that it's easy. So you'll have 477 over 301 is equal to, then you ask yourself, 301 into 477, it goes once, 1, and then comma, you find what is the difference between, I'm trying to show you that you can work, sorry about that, I'm trying to show you that you can work this 477 minus 301. You subtract there, this will become 6, and this will become 7, this become 1. So you have got 176. So you add a 0 again, 301 into 176. Remember, you get your answer here 1585. So you can try with a calculator and multiply it by 5. You are working towards that answer. So you say 301 times 5. You say it's 1505. You say minus 1760. It will give you 255. So here you've got 5 remainder 255. Now you put a 0 again. You're saying now 301 into 2550. You can see the answer gave you an 8 there. So you also do the same thing and you say 2550 divided by 8. You're just working towards that answer in a way, which is, I mean, times 8. I'm not supposed to divide here, multiply by 8. It's actually 301, not 255. 301 by 8 equal to 2448 minus 2550. It gives me 142. So you continue. In essence, what you just need to do from this stage, you can just use a calculator. They won't penalize you, and then you write 1,585, and it's 2 marks. They know you're going to use the calculator, but the key thing that they wanted here is you have done the heavy lifting to show your knowledge of logs. That is where they wanted to see. Can you express that? So guys, as I said, not complicated, not difficult, but the question is, are you able to solve this? So it was an interesting question, I think, for that 1.3. Here, as I said, it was mainly based on exponents part, whereby they are saying a to the power 3x plus z plus 2y plus that. It's not a complicated thing. Actually, it's 2 marks. That's why you can simply solve that. I'm not gonna dwell much, but what you needed with using the laws of exponents, you needed to add 3x, collect like terms, plus 5x. Remember this part, and then at the bottom it becomes negative x. You continue like that, then you go to z on top. There is nothing on the second one, and then it's negative z, and then after that plus the y is 2y plus 4y negative 3y. That's all that needed. And then say a 3x plus 5x is 8x minus x, it's 7x. This cancels, and then 2y plus 4y, 6y minus 3y, it's positive 3y. You know, that is mainly that. I'm not going to dwell much, guys, on this. You can test even your answer on that, but I'll show you in the actual video where I do a full revision. Now, I'm interested in this one with 4 marks. How were you supposed to solve this kind of a question here? What you needed to know was that 125 to say this is log in base 5 of, first let's get rid of the square root, knowing that it's 125. That square root means to the power half. That's the first thing that is important. Plus log in base 2 of 32. That square root is power half. Remember, when I give you a square root, it means bracket to the power half. If I give you a cube root, it means bracket to the power 1 over 3, and so on. If I make that an n, the bottom becomes an n. You need to know that. So that information is very important for you. So if it's just a square, it means, there is no number there. The silent number there means it's a 2. That's why we say to the power half. Next things, what you need to do then is to use the laws of logs. The next law here, it says if you're given a log, let's say in base a of b to the exponent m, this m will drop down to become m log. You can say even m times, so that you don't confuse yourself. M times log in base a of b. You see that? So the same thing here, the half, you drop it down, it becomes 1 over 2 times log in base 5 of 125. Are you seeing that? That is one way. Plus, again, you drop that half, which is 1 over 2 times log in base 2 of 32. These numbers, they don't just give you these numbers without a reason. So what is 125? If you use a calculator, 125 is same as 5 to the power of 3. It's 5 times 5, 25 times 3, that. Plus 1 over 2 log base 2. Now 32 is 2 times 2, which is 4, 4 times 2, which is 8, 8 times 2, which is 16, 16 times 2, which is 32, which is 2 to the power of 5. So they don't give you these numbers just out of nothing. They know what they're doing. Again, you see this power, it will drop down to come and multiply. So it's 1 over 2 times 3 times log in base 5 of 5. You see that? Plus 1 over 2. Now we multiply by 5 times log in base 2 of 2. Now the last part of the law that they are checking whether you understand is if they give you log in base a of a, when the number and the base are matching, that becomes a 1. So simple, put this thing here, you're multiplying by 1, and this thing here, you're multiplying by 1. Why? Is log 5 of base 5, log 2 of base 2. So in essence, you are multiplying when you have to solve this particular question to get your 4 marks. You are saying here, I'm having 1 over 2 times 3 times 1 plus 1 over 2 times 5 times 1. So here is 3 over 2 plus 5 over 2. You don't need a calculator here. The common denominator is 2. 3 plus 5, it's 8 over 2, and the answer is 4. Come on, guys. What wrong did I do? The error that I did here was for me not to first find the actual answer so that I can work towards that answer. So I was supposed to first do this. Log 5, 125 plus, your calculator is your friend. Please don't forget. When they say don't use a calculator, the first thing you must do is take that calculator and check what is my answer. You see, I'm actually getting a different answer here. I don't know why, where the error might have been. I see where the error is. These are under square roots, so I didn't put square roots. Square root of 32, and this one is square root of 125. So I suppose first to do this. There is the answer 4, then work towards the 4. You see, it's even here. Someone will ask to say, what other alternative here? There's different ways you could have done it. Before I drop, I could have actually come back here. Same thing, just a small trick. Before dropping the half, I could have actually said log in base 5, knowing that 125 is 5 to the power of 3, but you do this again to the power of half, plus log in base 2 is 32, which is 2, don't forget, it's 2 to the power of 5 in power half. You see that? Then these they multiply and these they multiply. So what you are having there is log in base 5 to the exponent of 5 to the exponent 3 over 2 plus log 2 of 2 to the exponent 5 over 2. So now we are going to be dropping that and dropping that, which is 3 over 2 times log 5 of 5 plus 5 over 2 times log 2 of 2. Remember, this is a 1, that is a 1. So you have got 3 over 2 plus 5 over 2, back to the answer 4. So different ways, meaning the same thing. So that is that, guys. And question 2 here, as I said, this question was heavily dependent on factorization. I don't know how to emphasize you guys being able to factorize. I'm just going to do your last question, number 2. From these two, which one do I want to do that is not going to take much of the time? Let me just use the top one, the first one. I choose to do for you this one. I'm not going to do this one, but all of them were simpler based on factorization. From here, I can actually do it. What is common here? 2x squared plus 4x. 2 is common. I take it out. And then x squared and x, you take the smaller power, which is x. Now, 2x into 2x squared is like you're saying 2x squared divided by what I took out as common, which is 2x. The 2 cancels. X squared means there are 2 x's. So you cancel one remaining with the x. See that? Plus, again, you've got 4x over the common factor you took out was 2x. The x will go. Now 2 into 4 is 2. So that's how you get the x plus 2 into that one. I'm saying that all over. Now at the bottom here, I'm not going to do much of what I wanted to do, but this is a product sum method. Product sum method of factorization. I talk about it in my videos, even in the YouTube. Check previous videos where you can search for product sum method, and also in the curriculum format N2 I dwell slowly and clearly and as emphasizing how to work that. So it's a product sum method, but what you needed to do is to solve that, to say you come up with 2 brackets if you do your product sum method well, which is x plus 2 and x plus 2. I hope you'll be able to do that. And then divided by the next one. Again, on top is a difference of 2 squares, which is x minus 2 and x plus 2. Why? Because you can see 4 is 2 squared. So it's x minus 2, x plus 2. At the bottom here, that is again a factorization product sum. So it's very important for you to understand what is the product sum method. It's very important. And then this time now, if you did it well, you're also going to come up with 2 brackets. This time it is x minus 2 and x minus 2. Very important, guys. Small changes, but meaning just to change from look at this. You are changing from plus 4x to minus 4x, and look at these signs. The first one was plus, now it's minus. For you to do that, just check my lessons. The other one, x squared plus 2x, x is common only there. So when you take out the x, you have got x plus 2. Seeing that? Over x squared minus 2x, again x is common there. You have got x minus 2. So now you do not cancel yet. You can, but don't cancel because of that division. First convert it to a multiplication. Let's do that. So it's 2x. That's the standard procedure that I always prefer before you cancel out anything, which is fine to cancel, but it's always nice and sweet to cancel when everything is allowing you to cancel. So convert that times. When you convert, this bottom goes to the top, this top goes to the bottom. The bottom is, we call it the denominator, the top we call it the numerator. So what you are having is the minus 1 is x minus 2 now at the top, and x minus 2. Seeing that? All over. At the bottom it's x minus 2 with what? With x plus 2. Are you seeing that? When you have done that, you continue the times x plus 2 over x and x minus 2. So guys, that's what I have at this stage. What do I do? Cancel out whatever needs to be cancelled out. Why? Because look at this. If this is multiplying and that is multiplying, it's a free way for me to cancel, and I cancel all the way home. Let's do that. Cancel x plus 2, and then x minus 2 is cancelling with that. X plus is there anything? Yes, let me bring in other cancellations. Look at this one that I'm going to bring in. On the other side, there is x minus 2 there, cancelling with this x minus 2. You see that? And then there is x plus 2 here, cancelling with this x plus 2. Anything? Yes, there's still more, there's still more, there's still more. That x cancels with that x. Is there anything else? So that is gone. When you cancel, you are just saying that it becomes 1. So wherever you cancel, don't say it becomes nothing, it becomes 1, because you are saying x. For example, here I'm saying x plus 2 into x plus 2, it goes once. Then what you are left with, look at these two, you are left with 2x over x plus 2. That is your final answer. These questions, I like them because as long as they are, but you can test them. Choose any value of x. For example, let's say let x be 5. Choose any number. If the first time the calculator gives you an error, try another number until you get a simplified number. Let's choose x is equal to 5. I'm going to match my answers at the beginning of the question and at the end of the question. So what you do is take that whole thing, where there is x, you put 5. So you're saying 2 bracket 5 squared plus 4 bracket 5. Remember, where there is x, I'm just substituting the 5. And then here I've got 5 squared plus 4, x is 5 plus 4. See that? Divided by, again, I've got 5 squared minus 4. Going down, it's 5 squared minus 4 bracket 5 plus 4. Just we need to be careful, don't make errors there. And then I've got 5 squared plus 2 into 5, and then 5 squared minus 2 into 5. Is that equal to? I'm getting 10 over 7. Don't forget this answer is 10 over 7. Let's go to the final answer that I got. Will give me 10 over 7. So it's 2, 5 over my x is 5 plus 2. Let's see if it gives me 10 over 7 there. So if the answer at the beginning is matching with the answer at the end, guys, it's a more guarantee you are correct. What I used is the same way. Work on this, but now it's minus and plus, and test. It will give you your answer straight away. Alright, so I'm not going to do that one, unfortunately, because of time, but I can try the last one, which will give you 7 marks. I think you will like the 7 marks. Given the following algebraic expression, still factorization, given that one, how do you solve it? You've got b squared plus ab minus 2b minus 2a. What type of factorization is this? Is factorization by grouping. You look at the first two, what is common is b. B into b squared is b plus b into ab. The b will cancel, remaining with a. See that? Then in the second one, what is common there? You are taking out, first thing I always say, take out a positive. Even if they are negative signs, just put a plus there. See what is common. 2 is common, so you've got 2. So 2 into that, the negative remains, negative b. 2 into that is negative a. Then after, you can interchange signs. We have got b plus a. You can see that in this bracket, to match with the second bracket, the negative, where there is a plus, make it minus 2. You interchange also the signs that follow. Where is minus b is a positive b, where is minus a, it's a positive a. So you've got that and that. When that, you write it as b plus a, but outside the brackets, what do you have? You've got those two, which is b minus 2. So that is that which you must write here and say b plus a, or you can say a plus b is one thing, and then b minus 2. So here it can be written as a plus b. Still the same thing, it's a plus. So you get that. That's the first part of factorization. You look at the second one, which is a squared b squared minus a to the power 4. when it comes to this one, again, do not panic. This is a difference of two squares. Why am I saying that? First of all, let's look at a and a. If we can take out, I think I'm correct there to say, let's take out a squared here. If I take out a squared as out, a squared into a squared, I'll get b squared, and then a squared from a to the power 4. There are 2. If I cancel 2 from 4, I'll be left with 2 of them. See that? That was the difference of two squares. So a squared, then you do your 2 brackets. So you start with the first one is b minus a, the other one is b plus a. Seeing that? So that is that, which is equal to here a squared and then b minus a and what? B plus a. Already you can see some similarities between the top one and the other one. There is always some hints. Next one is ax. This one is a common one. I've seen it in other textbooks. Plus bx plus ay plus by. Very basic and standard. Take the first one. X is common. You have got a plus b. Remember, this is same as b plus a plus y, and it's a plus b. So what do you have? You have got in the brackets, just to match what we have here, you can write it as b plus a and then x plus y. See, it's the same thing. So you write here as b plus a or a plus b, and then as long as there is no negative sign, you can interchange them, and then it's x plus y. So guys, just to do this, think of this factorization by grouping. The question was factorize each expression completely. They give you 7 marks. I mean, I don't want to say anything, but factorization by grouping, mathematics N2 is one of the basic things you could have actually learned. But I don't consider things or take things for granted. Take hold of the videos where I teach the foundation of these concepts. It becomes easier for you to see the answers even before working on them. Now, last part now says determine. This one says determine the LCM of all the 3 expressions. And when they talk about here, if I can just do like this, when they talk about the LCM is about taking everything that is different, you take it as is. So let's start with the first one. You can see that I have got a b plus a or a plus b, so you take it b plus a in brackets. The next one that is different is b minus 2. You also take it b minus 2. You look for the other one that is different is b minus a. You take it b minus a. The other one is b plus a. We already have b plus a. The second part we have that is again b plus a, which we have, but we don't have that x plus y. So it's x plus y. So this is the LCM. You take everything that is unique, that is different. And also, I know I left something which is very important. I hope you pick that up. A squared. Look at that. A squared. So you don't forget your a squared like that. You put those big brackets like that, because everything that is different, you take it. Now, if they had wanted, I'm just going ahead of myself, let's say they wanted you to find your highest common factor. Now, the highest common factor, you are going to look at everything that is repeating. Look at this one here to say whatever is repeating. I had b plus a, I had b plus a, I had b plus a. It is the only thing that was repeating in all the 3. So that was going to be my b plus a if they wanted me to find the HCF, which sometimes they ask for those 2 questions. Guys, this question paper, not complicated, needed basic mathematics, algebra very important. I say you could have actually scored good marks. But I have to end this lesson. I'm going to bring a full video of this again when I'm doing the whole maths at a go, and it is good for your revision, so watch out for it. If I am done with it, I'm going to post it so that you guys can take advantage of, but it will be available for premium members for the first time, because these are the guys, as I said, who kind of sponsor this channel so that we can bring more of these videos. I will encourage you also to assist in sponsoring of these channels, and if you've got also some way you think you can contribute to this channel in any way, financially or what, you can actually reach out on the comments below, and that will be appreciated in a way so that others can even help more. It will help bring more of these. At the moment, you see, there is mathematics that can be brought in, there is engineering science that can be brought in, but one would like to bring every subject into this 24-minute lesson, but unfortunately, because of resources, it can only be limited to that. But you never know, you can be that person who says, why don't you bring everything into this channel so that everybody can benefit? It will be a good thing. But we've come to the end of our lesson, guys. Remember to subscribe to our channel. Remember also to share, to comment, to like, and become a fan, if I can say, of this channel if ever you are benefiting. And it also encourages us in a way, or encourages me to bring more of these videos. You know, it becomes the fuel as you guys comment and share, and also like, it's more like the fuel that one needs to get going. So thank you for your support, thank you for subscribing, and thank you for always watching the channel. We've come to the end of our lesson. As I said, this was N2. Thank you.